everybody. All right, so we're back and we're going to talk about the projects. So far we've covered your syllabus quiz that's due on the first Saturday after the class officially starts. Then we've got your weekly modules, the quizzes, and the pick a task. And then we have, in alternate weeks, your projects. Projects are an opportunity for you to get sort of a hands-on experience with some aspect of psychology that we're covering during the 2 weeks that the project is open. Hopefully, by providing you with really long lists, you'll be able to find something that you're interested in and that you're willing to, spend a little time creating. So let's go ahead and go to the classroom. I'm still in student view, and I'm going to click on assignments. Unfortunately, I couldn't put the projects in the modules because I didn't want to give the impression that you only could access the project during the week that it's due. You can do the projects, you can work ahead if you wish. So they're on this assignment list. You can find the assignment list either by clicking the button that says assignments. You can also find the assignment list by clicking the home page. Canvas did a really good job of making sure things are in lots of places so that you can find them. So I'm going to go ahead and click on project 1. And as a student, of course, I'm able to see the submit button, but I'm not ready to submit because I don't know what I have yet. So what you want to do is go to this hyperlink that says project 1. Again, click on the actual link, not on the preview, because if you want to print this page, you're going to want it to be in the actual PDF file, not just the preview. Okay, let's go ahead and open it. Okay. So on the top of each project, it reminds you when it's due, but because I want to use this quarter after quarter without having to remember to change the due dates, I just call it week 2. So let's reflect on what week 2 is. I'm going to go back to the syllabus. I'm going to page down to the reading assignment page, because it's sort of a course calendar / reading assignments, video assignments. And what you'll see in this first column is I've got the weeks numbered. Right now we're in 0 week. And then we've got weeks 1, 2, 3, and so on. So project 1 is due in week 2. So you go across here to week 2 and you see it's due Tuesday of week 2. Now you're like, what day is that, right? Well, there are a couple of things that'll help you to figure out what day that is. One is by figuring it out mathematically. We know our weeks end on Wednesday in this class. So Wednesday must be the 9th, so Tuesday must be the 8th. So we can do a little math. That sounds fun. Or we can go back to the classroom, and you'll notice it says due October 8th by 11:59 p.m. Also, if we go right to the assignments list, all of these assignments are ordered by their due dates. So you'll see that the due dates are listed for everything right here. And it also tells you how many points they're worth. So pretty handy little system that Canvas has created. Okay, so now that you know when it's due, what are you doing? So now to sort of encourage you to know what you're doing, I have put, select one of, and then yes, there are 12 choices. To make the choices more obvious, I've titled each of the choices in green bold font with a number sign in front of the number, because some of the choices have lists and then it gets confusing. So I tried to make it really obvious when you've come to a new topic. Okay, so the first topic is to do a little research on the internet about one of the 20th century's most eminent psychologists, and I've given you the list of the top 25. I asked you a rhetorical question about why nobody's female. The answer is obvious, because time and so on. Anyway, so you pick one of these guys, and in this one I actually have restricted you to a word length, mostly not because I count the words, but because I don't want you just to copy and paste the web page about Walter Mischel. I'd like you to actually read it and then write it in your own words. So I'm trying to limit you to something that's way shorter than any web page would have, so you can truncate it down just to the important stuff. I've instructed you here what it should include. When did he do his work? What university was he affiliated with? What concepts he's famous for? And then why did you pick him? I'm always a little voyeuristic that way. I always like to know, well, what were you thinking? What was your motivation? I always like to know those kinds of things. So that's choice number 1. Or you could pick number 2, where you do a little observation. I said in the dining hall, but really it could be any public place. It doesn't have to be at school. It could be, at the Starbucks. It could be at the library. It could be, at the mall, just some public place. I've actually had students do this on their, I had a student who had a litter of puppies and decided to do a naturalistic observation of the puppy behavior. So, if you want to get creative, be all animal observations, fine, anything. But you have to follow the instructions and do what I've asked. Number 3, your third choice would be to do a test of the placebo effect. And so I've given you a little video to watch about therapeutic touch. I've given you this little chart for you to actually collect your data, and you don't give me this chart. This is for you to actually record your data and process it. And then what you submit to me is, I say here, tabulate the hits, the score. Here's what I really want to know. How does your data support the notion that therapeutic touch may be an example of the placebo effect? I just want you to explain, based on what you observe, how it could possibly be an example of the placebo effect. So make sure you're answering the question I'm asking. This one's a little statistical exercise. If you like to do statistics, I've provided you with data on the presidents, and you do some descriptive data. And again, don't ask me how do I get to the, see, it says don't submit the graph. I just want you to explain in words what it looks like. More choices. Number 5, little hemispheric specialization. Get some of your friends to participate. I said 5. You can, get 2. Anything that could be comparisons. A penny for your thoughts. This is a fun one. If you are on campus, this is a really good place to do it. Set up a little table and ask people, with a sign that says penny for your thoughts, and get them to write down what they were thinking of just before, they wrote it down. Kind of fun. Kind of a naturalistic observation, but with a little introspection involved. Number 7, you take the sleep IQ test. I don't want to see your answers to the sleep IQ test. I want to see your answers to these questions that I asked about the sleep IQ test. Same thing with the Epworth Sleepiness Scale. So the sleep IQ test is about what we know or believe about sleep and what healthy sleep is and stuff like that. Epworth Sleepiness Scale is a measure of how sleepy a person is. And so this is here's the scale that you would take. And then I don't want to see your answers to the scale. I want to see your answers to my questions about the scale. So make sure on each project that you're making that you have figured out, what am I exactly asking? Remembering dreams. Again, you get some volunteers and you ask them, you interview them these questions, and then I don't want to necessarily see the answers. I want you to characterize the answers and answer the questions that I've asked. Number 10, catching the hypnagogic state. If you have trouble sleeping, I don't recommend that you do this one. But if you're the sort of person who can fall asleep again really easily, this is a pretty fun one to do. Or if you want to try it during your nap or something like that, pretty fun one. 11, this is dreaming and problem solving. This is another one where, if you have trouble sleeping, you might not want to do, because it can disrupt your sleep sometimes. So, but it's fun. I find it entertaining. Signs of drug abuse is number 12. So you can have somebody take the drug use scale and the audit questionnaire, which is on the next page. I don't want to see their answers to these questionnaires. I want to see where it says for your report to me, right? So you'll notice there's a theme. Always, read everything about the project that you've chosen, and usually what I want submitted to me is at the very end. It's usually not, I never want to see your answers to scales, or this is what we call a scale. I never want to see the direct answers people gave to anything. I want you to interpret. Okay, so that's the task. Now what you're going to want to do, where's my syllabus? Here it is. What I want you to do for your projects is create your project in whatever software you have and save it as either a docx, an RTF, or a TXT file. Got that right here. So those are your file types. And then you can just attach your file to the assignment box, just like you do with the PsycSim. So, wrong. There we go. So we're going to click the submit button, and then you browse find your file. It's only going to allow you to attach something that is doc, docx, RTF, or TXT. And then you click submit. Please, 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 no comments in the comments box. Please, 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 no comments in the comments box. Okay. So what am I looking for? So you'll pick one project from that list. I had a student a couple of quarters ago who did all 12 of the first projects. What kind of horrible individual would I have to be to have assigned you 12 projects? Oh my gosh. I felt bad, but then I thought also, it says pick one on the syllabus and it says pick one at the top of the project. So I guess I don't have to feel guilty, but oh my gosh, I am not that mean. You pick one. And only one. I mean, some of the project lists might be on an area of psychology that you're inherently more interested in, and you're like, but I want to do 3 of them from this list and none of them from the next list, right? I'll just do 2 from this list. You need to do 1 from each of the 5 lists. You need to, each project has its own list attached to it, and you need to do a choice from that list. I'm trying to keep you, engaged in what we're studying at the time. So you need to, it goes along with whatever we're studying at the time. Now there are 3 criteria on which you will be graded. Accuracy. Every project has some kind of factual content, so you're going to be graded on accuracy. And actually you can see this. Looks like I don't have a rubric attached to this. It's easier to grade it without a rubric, frankly, so I think I left that off. So accuracy, you need to be correct in what you've said. You need to answer all parts of the assignment that you've chosen. That's the most common point deduction, is students who didn't answer all the questions that I asked about the topic. You're going to have about 150 words minimum for all the projects except for that one about the eminent psychologist, which is 150 max. You're going to need at least 150 words to explain your reasoning. My most common complaint about projects is you need to explain why you don't think this is a very good measure of drug abuse. You need to explain why you think that this is a good measure of therapeutic touch as a placebo effect. You need to explain. Just go ahead and explain. I'm looking for a report. I'm not looking for yes and no answers. So minimum 150 words, and then you cannot submit it late. It has to be submitted on time. You'll be locked out of the Dropbox. So, I've given you 2 weeks between each project's assignment. It shocks me, I have to say, how few students ever submit their project before the day it's actually due when you have 2 weeks between. It kind of surprises me that students wait so long to do something like that, but I give you 2 weeks. You can take the full 2 weeks, but you absolutely cannot submit it late. You absolutely cannot. You will miss the assignment. Don't send it to me via email if you miss the deadline. Even if you're like, I had computer troubles, that's not a valid excuse in an online class. Get your work done well enough in advance that if you run into computer troubles, you'll still get your work in on time. That's the one thing I am a complete stickler on. I have absolutely no shame about saying you missed the deadline. You missed the deadline. So get it in on time. If there are significant problems with me being able to understand what you're trying to say because of the spelling errors, the grammar problems or whatever, then I'll deduct points. I hardly ever have to do that. But do not write a report as though you're writing a text message to your friend. It needs to be written in complete sentences. It needs to be written in completely spelled out words. It needs to be grammatically and spelling based correct. If your computer should have picked it up and told you had a spelling error, then I will deduct if it's detracting from my understanding. This isn't an English class, but if I can't understand what you're saying, then I will deduct points for it. I reiterated here that for the psychological scales, anything like the ones that you saw on this list, like the drug abuse scale, the sleepiness scale, these are what we call scales or surveys. I do not want to see answers to those. It's actually considered an invasion of privacy for you to show me the actual answers. They're supposed to be anonymous, so don't show those to me. I'm such a voyeur. I tend to read them. I can't help myself. Hey man, I'm a psychologist. What do you want? So, don't submit those things to me. when it's time to submit your project, when you're ready, you just attach it as a file like I showed you. Make sure, and I put, Project X Dropbox because it's whatever one you're working on at the moment, but the instructions are always the same. You'll automatically be locked out. When will I read the projects? I read the projects after their due date has passed. So if you are one of those students who gets your work in early, unfortunately you don't necessarily get a direct reward from me because I don't read it till the deadline. So, another one of those cases where the instructor says one thing and then gets to sort of benefit from something else. But I do it because that way I can sort of read them all at one time and see the flow of what's going on. So I don't read them until after the deadline has passed. And then you'll receive my reply in your inbox. So you'll see that I've graded it. And then you'll also be able to reflect on those comments in the gradebook and see the points and stuff in the gradebook as well. So, all right, well, that completes projects. Hopefully that explains the whole situation. We'll come back in the next video and talk about your midterm exams.